CADRE stands for Career Advancement and Development for Recruits and Experienced Teachers. It is a 14-month program that you complete within your first or second year of teaching. Throughout CADRE, you have a cohort of teachers that are also first or second year teachers, and so they're going through the same experiences as you. And you are also provided with a district associate that supports you in your classroom as well.
There are so many benefits to choosing CADRE. Not only do you receive 5 hours of support in your classroom each week from a district leader, you also get to experience your master's degree in a cohort setting with other first and second year teachers. Also, when you get your master's degree early on in your career, you're able to max out on your pay scale. In addition, the classes that you take, not only are you learning about instructional practices and strategies, but you're also able to build your leadership capacity in roles that you might take on in the future.
Each district that participates in the CADRE program hires a specific associate that dedicates 5 hours a week to a CADRE teacher in their classroom. Their job is to help support that teacher by taking any observational notes, collecting any data they might need, and helping them analyze it. They can help them co-plan or co-teach any lessons. Their job is not to evaluate or grade you. Their job is solely to help you grow in any way you choose.
I decided to become a teacher because of some of the great teachers that I had, specifically Mrs. Fagan in 4th grade. She was always so great at understanding her students and the environment that she was in. For me, I grew up with hearing loss in both ears, and that could be a struggle in the classroom, specifically with spelling tests. Getting a paper back and seeing that I misspelled a word because I misheard a sound, it was always a very frustrating experience, and Mrs. Fagan noticed that right away, and so during spelling tests she would come and sit right beside me and make sure she was enunciating them clearly, or if she noticed like a little mistake that I was probably like, oh, she probably didn't hear that, she would restate the words, so then I was able to hear all the sounds correctly. And that feeling of being feeling understood and seen was such a great feeling that I still remember to this day, and I want to be able to replicate that feeling with my students as well.
Becoming a teacher is extremely challenging. A teacher has to be patient and accepting of any and all students that come into your classroom, and that can be really hard sometimes. You are not only just teaching your students content and skills and the curriculum that is involved, you are also teaching them life skills. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm not just a teacher, I am a nurse, I'm a therapist, I'm a parent, I'm a role model, and that's just to name a few. I am also trying to teach my students how to make good and smart choices, and that is one of the most challenging but rewarding aspects of being a teacher. Something that I teach my students every day, and I'm trying to ingrain in their brains, is that you do not fail until you stop trying. And that can be something really difficult for 3rd graders to grasp. So that is something that I'm trying to teach them so that they can take that outside of the classroom with them.
Yeah, building relationships with students is super important for a teacher to do in their classroom because of the many academic, social, and emotional benefits. Building relationships with students improves academics because research shows that it increases a student's motivation and engagement in the class. It also helps the teacher get to know the student as an individual, which helps that teacher tailor instruction to meet the student's more specific needs.
Besides academic improvement, building a relationship with students also help with their emotional well-being, being safe and being connected with the teacher and the students. It kind of brings that sense of community in the classroom and their environment. Besides the emotional benefits, it also has social awareness, which kind of ties in with the emotional benefits because they kind of work together with the teachers and the students, and they have that sense of belonging and support and well-being, and as well as connected.
Teachers can build relationships with students by, 1, creating a welcoming environment for them to walk into, getting to know your students on a personal level, showing empathy, and giving personal feedback.
As educators, it's essential to make our students feel safe, valued, and respected. You can do this by getting to know your students on a personal level. What do they like to do outside the classroom? How can you connect with them personally? Be approachable, be warm, and be kind but firm.
It's important to build a relationship with your cadre associate because they are there for you the whole year. You're going to be spending a lot of time with them, and they're there to help you to try new things and just kind of seek out advice to become a better teacher. And that's kind of the professional aspect of it. And then when you bring in personally, when you have that relationship with them, you can talk to them about things going on outside of school. And so it creates the perfect balance and just strengthens your relationship with them.
Yeah, it's so important to build relationships with your associate just because they help you navigate the classroom in your first year or second year of teaching, and they just really are that positive light in your classroom, and they give you like classroom ideas and feedback to strengthen your growth mindset.
You have to establish a vulnerable relationship with your colleagues, creating a safe, trusting environment. Some ways to do that is to go together for lunch on professional development days, go to staff outings outside of the school environment like community events and social gatherings, and also get together for back to school, end of the school year, holidays to meet each other as people and not just as teachers.
When all of these things are put in place, it allows you to feel supported during the times that are hard, but also during the times when you have big celebrations as well. When all these things are put into place to help you build relationships, it allows you to feel supported and valued and respected, which is also very important.
In my own experience with my associate, what kind of put it all into place was when I was feeling very overwhelmed with school and teaching, and I finally shed a few tears, and she was able to help me prioritize my to-do list, and from then on it was just really easy for me to share what I was struggling with, and it created a really great relationship. And with my colleagues, we meet up in our hallway every Friday after school, and we talk about things outside of school, like how their kids are doing and everything, and we even have a book club this summer for us to be able to talk and meet up with each other.
So assessment is an evaluation of learning, and it's really important that when an educator gets data on their students' learning that they use that to impact their instructional decisions. And assessments can look a variety of ways. So it could be anything from a traditional quiz or a test to something along the lines of like a game or a discussion. Anything that a teacher uses to gain data on student learning could be considered assessment, and there's two different main types of assessment, which are summative and formative.
So formative assessments are for the future, meaning that they are used as like a checkpoint to see along the way of students' learning, to see how they're progressing through the content. And then these can be in the forms of quizzes, review games, or sometimes even observations. These are meant for the teacher to look back and look at and analyze the data from this so that they can see if they need to go back in the content and like revisit or reteach, relearn, or sometimes even providing enrichment opportunities for students. Summative assessment is meant to see what you know, which is usually at the end of units when students are all done with their learning. And then this is really meant to kind of see what the students learned over a longer period of time.
Backwards design is really focused on planning with the end in mind. So essentially, as a teacher, you want to establish what standards you want to hit for a unit and then figure out your end goal. Are the students going to be doing a project, a test, an essay? How are they going to show what they've learned at the end? Once you've figured out that end goal, then you're going to build up your lessons that lead to that end goal. So you want to figure out what do they need to know throughout these lessons in order to successfully achieve that project, that test, any of those things. And then that really helps you make sure that you are intentional with your lessons and that it's not just some spontaneous lesson. And it makes sure that your lessons are very structured and ready to go so they are successful at the end.
One thing that might surprise people is we assess a lot more frequently than the general public thinks. The term assessment is not reserved solely for quizzes, tests, and projects. Although these are great assessments that provide meaningful data, they are not the only way to assess student progress.
So qualitative data and other forms of anecdotal observations can be a great way to get insight to student understanding and their familiarity with the subject and their interest towards this particular skill. And this is really important because then we can use that information to develop more individualized plans in the future for instruction the next few days.
Well, getting to know people from different perspectives, different walks of life, and different backgrounds really helps sharpen my ability to work with others. And to me, leadership is a quality in which you learn from working with others and different types of people. And from this CADRE process, I feel like that was a core standard from the beginning.
So even though risks are always a little scary to do, I had my CADRE associate with me to help me. She did things small like helping me plan out notes for meetings or navigate difficult situations with colleagues, to as big as making a decision to take a risk in helping pilot a new curriculum. But leadership was never forced. It was more of like gentle nudges along the way throughout the CADRE program.
So feedback was provided through multiple sources throughout this CADRE cohort in the whole year. Specifically, I got feedback from my professors along the way on assignments that we had to do throughout the year. I also got feedback from peers. I remember, especially on my literature reviews, so my big paper that I got lots of feedback on, that was super helpful, and I was able to give my own feedback and kind of have a voice in that way as well. And then lastly, our CADRE associates were really great at providing immediate feedback, and it was nice to get some of that in the classroom too. So they really pushed us to try new strategies and take risks that we might not have otherwise done. And I know for me specifically, I had a lot of small group help. My CADRE associate even taught a lesson for me one day, so then I got to observe and then try it myself. So getting immediate feedback like that was super helpful in pushing me to become a leader.
So over the year, CADRE provided me a lot of opportunities to explore new instructional strategies and research current practices in education and apply those settings within my field. And then I was able to share the authentic representations of what that looked like in my classroom. And then through that, I was able to get feedback from both my peers and other instructional coaches, both in my district and in surrounding districts. So there were a ton of feedback opportunities. And then my leadership shines through in my ability to take that feedback and implement it into my classroom, both what I gave to others and what I received.
So being a leader and a lifelong learner really go hand in hand for me. So I was really passionate about joining the CADRE program because of its ability to make you a lifelong learner. It helped to instill and provide lots of opportunities for me to do that. The support that you also get during the CADRE program makes it really easy for you to build your confidence and grasp onto those learning and leadership opportunities, whether it's within your classroom or your building or even in the classes that you're in. So CADRE really proved to me that learning as an educator goes beyond CADRE for the rest of our careers.